Hey everyone, how's it going? So today I wanted to do a tutorial on the Zoia, and before we get too advanced, too deep, I just want to do a simple tutorial because I was looking out there myself how to build basic effects on the Zoia, and there's a lot of good videos out there right now for how you do anything from A to Z on the Zoia, but I couldn't really find anything out there showing you how to build basic effects, and I kind of wanted to start there to learn the basics before I start getting into building more advanced effects. So these next series of videos I'm going to do is basically showing you how to rebuild simple effects on the Zoia. In this case, we are going to take a look at rebuilding the chorus effect.
Alright, so let's get down to business here. And what we're looking at here is a diagram I found off of the Fractal Audio site that shows you how a basic chorus effect works. So basically you'll have a signal that will go into a delay, then the tone can be shifted and then mixed back in with the dry signal. So that's kind of what I tried to set up here with the Zoia. Here is my initial diagram of what I wanted to build. Basically having a left and right input. The dry would go into an audio balance, but the wet signal would be sent to its delay line. The time of that delay would be modified by an LFO, and then you would have a pitch shifter between each delay line before it hits the audio balance to be mixed with the dry signal. And then the mix of that could be controlled by a Midi control too. But this is basically how I wanted to build it. So let's do it. Here we go, we're sitting down with the Zoia. And the first thing we'll do is we'll find a clean patch. There's nothing in this patch 9, so we'll go ahead. The first thing we'll do is we'll add an audio input. This lets us actually send sound from my Digitone setup here into the Zoia. And that's what we got plugged in tonight. So bang, that easy. We can now accept left and right audio in just through that one module. So that's done. Now let's go ahead and add the delay line to start building up the wet part of this effect. And the one thing I wanted to do is just make sure the default's fine, but I'm just going to drop the timer, the delay to 100 milliseconds versus 1 second. When I initially built it, I used the 1 second. And it's just too long of a delay for a chorus. It works much better with the delay line set to 100 milliseconds, the minimal. And now I could, of course, made another one just like I did the first one there. But you can see I'm just using the copy and paste functionality here, holding down that shift and the copy button and then touching where I wanted to build the other module. Just makes things a little faster to put together. And now we can see we have 2 delay lines added in. And we're just going to put the left audio into the left delay and then the right audio into the right delay. And there we go. We got our audio input and we got our delay line set up. So here we go. Let's mark those delay lines done. Those are done. Alright, now we need to add an LFO, and what we're going to use the LFO for is we're going to use it to fluctuate the delay time on the delay lines. And so we'll just use a standard LFO. You can see you can pick from a different wave types. We'll just use the default square, I believe it is here, because you can see when I touch on the actual output of this LFO, it's just off on like a square wave, which might not be the best for this effect, but don't worry, we're going to fix that in a sec. But for now, we're just going to take that raw LFO and dump it into our delay line to set the delay time. So you can see it's going from no time to maximum time. And that's going to cause us problems later, but you'll see it when we feed in some audio, but don't worry, we'll fix that. I'm going to call the LFO done for now. So one last piece of the puzzle here we have to worry about. And then we're going to add those pitch shifters I mentioned before that are going to take the delay line audio, and then once we put it into the pitch shifter, we can shift the pitch of that audio. And so we're going to need one for the left wet signal, and we're going to need one for the right wet signal. And we'll use the copy and paste functionality again here, shift copy, touch where I want it to paste, hit done, and then there we go. And now we have 2 pitch shifters, and now we're going to plug the left delay line and the right delay line into each of its own pitch shifters, which we've done now. So we've got the delay lines and the pitch shifters set up now. So let's mark those pitch shifters ×2 done, because that is done. And this is how fast you can build up effects on here. So it's a nice little machine. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is we need to add in some audio balancer modules to take our dry and wet signal and mix together for the output. And so So what I've gone here is I just select the standard audio balance module, which allows you to put 2 audio signals in and sends 1 out. And so we will copy that because we'll need one for the left and one for the right output. And you can see there the mix is set to 50-50. We have nothing going into the audio input, so let's go on our left one. We'll add in the left raw audio or dry signal. Whoops, wrong. And we'll add in the right dry signal. So those are set up. Now let's add in the wet signal into these audio mixers. So the end of the line here is from the pitch shifters. And there's the left. And let's put the right one into the right mixer. And there we go. We have our audio balancer. So now we have a way to mix our wet and dry signals together before we send them out to your ears. And we're almost done here. So the last little thing we got to do for functionality is just add the audio out, which we'll do now. And we'll hook in the left balancer into the left out and the right audio balancer into the right out. And now we should have sound. So you can hear that's my digitone. And when I hit that button, made all the blocks red. That's just a raw sound. The Empress Zoia is not having any effect on this sound at all. Now we'll turn it on. And you can hear the chorus effect, but you're getting that weird whoop whoop kind of sound. And that's just because we have the time shifting from 0 to 100 milliseconds immediately on those delay lines. So we need to fix that. And the way we fix that is a module called the slew limiter, because you can see how those delay times are going 0 to full. So let's add in a slew limiter. And what this is going to do is it's just going to tame how fast that LFO value is going to go into those delay lines. So first thing we got to do here is we got to delete the connections from the LFO to our current delay line. So we'll do that. Hold them both down and hit delete. So that's done. And now we'll send the LFO value into the slew limiter, which is done. And then you can see how it's a much kind of gradual change in the values there. So let's plug those in from the slew limiter output now into the delay lines. And well, it's too tame now. We're going from 0.2 milliseconds to 0.4 milliseconds, which you probably can't even hear. But let's go ahead back to the slew limiter. Well, before we do that, you can hear the default sounds. There's no difference really, just because the delay line is so short. But let's go into the slew limiter and let's go to this guy here, the slew rate, and let's turn that way down. So that'll make the slew limiter less impactful on how it's changing. That was a terrible explanation. It's going to make more sense when you see it. So there's the output, and just listen. My hand's in the way, but I hate this stupid knob. But you can see when I turn the that dial down, you're actually hearing a difference. So I just got to dial it to about 1 second on the slew limiter. The slew rate is about where you're starting to get that chorus effect. You can see. Now we can mess around with these pitch shifters to add a little bit more character to our our chorus sound. They were set to 0 before, so these are our ways we have control over the sound of our chorus currently. Now it's sounding a little bit more like a chorus effect. Okay. So one thing I wanted to show you to do is we're going to go to the initial page. I built everything on the second page. The reason I want to do that is because most of these patches you see online for the Zoia will have some sort of fancy visual interface that will look cool. That's one of the nice things about the Zoia is it looks nice if you set it up properly. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some flair to our patch here, and what we're going to do is add a pixel in here. And what I'm going to do with that pixel is I can really attach it to anything in here, but let's set it to what the slew limiter rate is, and that's going to give us kind of a visual clue of how impactful our chorus is set up on the delay line. So we only have the 1 pixel now, but now that I've added it in there, I can go ahead and you can see how it's hard to see on the camera, but it is. I'll add some more in and I'll fast forward here so you don't have to watch. I'm basically just going to copy and paste a whole bunch of them in here. And you're gonna, once we get about 8 of them set up here, you'll be able to see them glowing on and off. Even the fast forward here, you can see it a little bit better. Yeah, so you know, you could do this for all the settings for the audio mix. You could do it for, you know, the depth of the time delay and also the pitch. So there'd be ways to tie a whole bunch of different pixels on that front page. We'll just do that as an example. I won't make you sit through all that, but maybe I'll style it up afterwards. But now, at least if you're on the main page of this thing, you have a visual clue into your settings. Now, this is the other kind of bonus thing, is I hate using this wheel on the Zoia, so I do have a digitone attached to it, which I'm going to use the Midi tracks on it to control some of these settings. But in order to do that, I need to add in Midi CC modules, and I'm using channel 13 on the Zoia, or pardon me, on the Zoia, and also on the digitone to talk, and then the digitone CC custom messages start at 70. So we'll just add in 3 of these suckers here, 3 of these Midi CC modules, 1 to control our delay time, and 1 to control the pitch shifters, and then maybe we'll add 1 to the mixer. And you can see I'm like for one of them I'm using 70, and then 71 and 72, just because that's where the custom CC messages start on the digitone. So it works perfectly. And now I can send this first one to control. There we go. Set it right to the slew limiter, which will control those 2 times. We'll set the second one to the pitch shifter here. And that's good. And we'll set I want to set it to the mix up here. Cool. So you can see I'm adjusting that setting. Nothing's happening, right? So the one thing I got to change on the slew limiter is, see how that default setting there is set dialed up there? Let me dial that all the way to 0, because now I'm going to have full control over this setting now. If I get that default item there back down to 0, you can see I'm having fun on the wheel here. Alright, cool. Down to 0, and now I can use, you can see I'm adjusting it. I don't have any hands on the Zoia right now. I'm using it all on the digitone to control that. So I could either program that or use another MIDI controller to do it, but I'm just doing it manually on the digitone. And let's do the same thing for this guy here. Okay, it's quite impactful messing around with the pitch shifter. Get my paper out of the way here. So I might need to put some sort of limiter on this to have a more control over it, but hey, it's kind of fun. Go. And there's my mix. Didn't work exactly as I expected it to, but well, I can troubleshoot that a bit later. Anyway, that's about it. The only other thing I wanted to show you is, like, of course, you know, we're making a chorus effect, but the Zoia does come with a whole bunch of effects already pre-made, and here is its chorus. The one thing to notice about the chorus that's on the Zoia itself, you can see when we get it set up here, it's only going to use up about like 13 to 14% of the CPU on board, where the patch I just made is using up about 45% of the CPU capabilities. So, you know, it's fun to make you know, a chorus effect. It's a quick and easy way to start learning what some of these modules do. But you know, don't ignore the onboard effects on this thing too. Is if you need a chorus and you don't need to have fancy control of it, check some of the onboard effects, because you can use them for less CPU power, which will allow you to add more tricks and stuff to your whatever you're building. You can see we'll go back here, and it's hard to see on the camera, but it's like around 41% with just a simple coarse effect. You know, maybe if I take away the pixels and stuff, it'd be a little less, but where's the fun in that? Anyways, see you guys next time.